Welcome back to your channel. Please subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Double cosita.
Dame tu cosita.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Coach Javi here, and today we're talking about Manchester City versus Real Madrid. What a match that we're getting in the round of 32 within this new Champions League format. Both teams here because they underperformed in the league phase or whatever, group phase, whatever the fancy name for it was called. But the fact that it's now a table, I think, made things a lot more interesting. And it gave us this match this early on, which could be a match that you would see in the final. And the fact that we got it this early just makes things a little bit more interesting. The funny thing actually is whoever wins this match ends up playing either against Atletico Madrid or Bayer Leverkusen. So you would say whoever wins this match should be able to progress into the quarterfinals if they win this match. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's talk about how they got here on the table before we talk about their injuries, predicted lineups, and the score prediction at the end of this video. So first of all, Manchester City was the one that really underperformed, having to beat Club Brugge in the last match of the league phase in order to qualify. Real Madrid finished in 11th spot in the table, which again is a surprise because everybody thought they'd finish for sure in the top 8. So just in case you guys are new, the way the new format works was top 8 goes straight through into the round of 16. Places 9 through 24 have to battle it out in order to face the teams that have already progressed, and then teams 25 through 36 get knocked out and they don't go into the Europa League. Straight knocked out, no more European competition for them. So before I continue with the video, go ahead, let me know in the comment section down below who you guys think is going to win and what your score prediction is. Reminder, anybody who gets it right is going to win some free Next Goal Wins TV stickers, plus a free set of Champion Grind grip socks, courtesy of my boy Georgie and his company Champion Grind. So let's go ahead and get started with the injuries. Both teams have quite a big injury list. For Manchester City, we have Jeremy Doku, Nathan Ake, Nico Gonzalez, who just came off in the 22nd minute of their FA Cup match against Leyton Orient, Oscar Bob, Rodri, and Ruben Diaz. For Real Madrid, we have Antonio Rudiger, Dani Carvajal, David Alaba, Eder Militao, and Lucas Vazquez, who just went down with a hamstring injury versus Atletico Madrid. So when you look at that, both teams are going to be struggling in this match, and I think Real Madrid are going to get the worst end of it just because all of their injured players, or the overwhelming majority of their injured players, are defenders, which means they've had to really shift the back line around, and as Carlo Ancelotti said, they're in a bit of a defensive crisis. So let's see how all of those injuries affect my predicted lineups, and we'll start with Real Madrid. Real Madrid, I think, are going to go out with a 4-3-3 or a 4-1-2-3. Courtois for sure in goal. Tchouaméni and Asensio are going to be the two center backs. Like I said, they're really struggling. Tchouaméni is typically one of the center mids, but he's had to fill that role temporarily. Fran Garcia is going to be on the left, and I actually think he's going to put Valverde on the right. He's done that before against Leganes. I think the problem is you could put Ferland Mendy, but Ferland Mendy is left-footed just like Fran Garcia, and rarely do you see a left-footed player on the right side. Sometimes you see the right-footed players on the left side just because of lack of left-footed defenders. I don't think he's going to put Ferland Mendy on the right side, and I think he's going to go instead for somebody like Valverde, who's got the work rate, who's got the engine, and who's willing to defend. Dani Ceballos is going to be in that holding center mid position. He was a player of the match against Atletico Madrid, so I think he'll keep him there. And then in front of him is obviously going to be Jude Bellingham. It's the other midfielder that's questionable for me. I think he's going to go based off of the experience and let Luka Modric start in this match. I know he hasn't been getting as many minutes as he used to, but when I think of either playing someone like Modric or someone like Arda Güler with a little bit less experience, he's going to opt in for somebody who's been there in the Champions League many times before and is going to be able to understand how to manage the game. The front four for Real Madrid, and it's not a front three, it's a front four, because when you really look at it, Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius, all of these guys are attacking players. In the matches where Real Madrid struggle, I think it's due to the fact that all four of these guys don't track back and they don't defend. So Real Madrid is left with four guys on the wrong side of the ball, and that's obviously the risk that you're taking when you have that many attack-minded players. However, the fact that you still have these four guys healthy against a Manchester City back line that's been very suspicious as of late. We're going to get into my score prediction a little bit later, but I do think there's going to be a lot of goals. As for Manchester City, he's been going back and forth between Ortega and Ederson. Ortega, last few games that he's played, hasn't looked great, and I think Ederson Not that he's looked suspicious, but I think Ederson has been in goal when Manchester City had that really bad run and a lot of bad games. I think when it comes down to it, the better goalkeeper is Ederson, and I think because Ortega has not solidified himself as someone who should definitely be starting over Ederson, I think in a match like this, he's going to go back to Ederson. Fortunately for Manchester City, even though their backline has not been performing very well, he has been able to keep them on consistently, and that's going to be Nunez on the right, Akanji and Stones, and then Vardiol on the left. And I think the more games they play together, the better they're going to end up being, at least until Nathan Ake or Ruben Diaz comes back. In front of them, I think Kovacic is really the only true 6 that they have, the closest thing to a replacement for Rodri, so I think he's going to start in that 6th position, probably next to Bernardo Silva. Foden will be on the right, I think Savinho will be on the left, and then I was debating whether it was going to be De Bruyne or Marmoush in that attacking central midfield role, and I think he's going to go for De Bruyne. I think Marmoush in the last couple of games has not been great, and again, in a match like this where you really need experience and you really need someone to manage the game, he's going to go for Kevin De Bruyne. Haaland up top, that's not going to change. They don't have anybody close to Erling Haaland as a replacement, and they're going to be looking to get him a lot of service considering Real Madrid's backline is going to be makeshift. So let's go ahead and get into my score prediction because I think this one's going to be very, very entertaining. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk on this one. I could have played it safe, and the thing with Real Madrid and Manchester City is recently you don't know in their games if there's going to be 5 or 6 plus goals or if it's going to end in a 0-0 draw. I think Real Madrid's backline is going to be opened up by Manchester City, specifically Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, but the same can be said for Real Madrid. Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo, and then Jude Bellingham slightly behind them. I just think it's going to be a match with a lot of goals. So my score prediction for this one is going to be 3-3. I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to go back to the Bernabeu with everything to play for, and I don't see this being a match in which teams are going to be able to stop each other from scoring. Now, knowing my predictions, to be honest, this game is probably going to end up 0-0, and it's going to be the most boring game ever, but let's hope it's entertaining, let's hope it's exciting, let's hope it's a lot of back and forth action. Besides the score prediction, how I think this game is going to play out, I think Manchester City is going to have a lot more possession. Obviously, they're going to be at the Etihad, they're going to be at home, they're going to be able to keep the ball, they're going to be able to bring it all the way up into the attacking third. Real Madrid are going to be completely okay with that. They're going to let them possess, they're going to pick the right moments, and then the moment that they're able to intercept, Real Madrid is probably the best team in the world as far as counterattacks. So Pep and Manchester City are going to have to prepare for that. They're going to have to make sure that they're putting players in the right positions, and the moment that they lose the ball, they're going to have to be willing to work back, or at least make sure that they're in really good counter press positions so that they don't get exposed. It's a real interesting time for these two teams to play against each other just because they're both kind of going through bad moments. I know Real Madrid is still at the top of La Liga, but their performances in the Champions League this season have not been great, which is kind of funny to say because Real Madrid in the Champions League is usually when they play their best. So once again, don't forget to comment with your score prediction to win some prizes. Let me know how you guys think this game is going to play out, and don't forget to check back in a few hours after the match because I will have a full tactical analysis and a breakdown of how the match played out, what tactics were used by Pep and Ancelotti to get the better of the other team. All of that is going to be broken down in detail here on this channel, so make sure you guys don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so you can get notified when that video goes up. That's it for this one, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.